Peace to the nation. One more time. Let me do that one with a little bit of emphasis. Peace to the nation. I hope this morning finds you all well. I said I was gonna come on uh, and do a video. I said it last night. Um, so if a man doesn't do what he says he's gonna do, this is my grandfather told me. If a man does not do what he says that he is going to do, then he will not be blessed. So, in order to not per se block my blessings, I decided to come on and talk about a little something. Um, when I come on here, a lot of times sometimes I may not necessarily know what I want to talk about, or I might have an inkling of what I want to talk about, but it's when I get on, it's in sincere hopes that I'll draw something from inside from what I might have taken in from the outside. Uh, and admittedly, as I've been shuffling along, making my way through this, figuring out the way to be the most effective, captivating, uh, uh, what other adjective could I use? Just in order to make y'all, I shouldn't say make it, in order for you to be compelled to come and watch me, I have to be consistent, and not only be consistent when I do come on here talk about things that may interest you, and not only that, when y'all come on here and listen to whatever I'm talking about, somehow maintain your attention without boring you or confusing you, as some have said on my other videos. What are you talking about? I don't understand. And I can understand that, because hell, a lot of times I come on here and my thoughts may jump from place to place, or I may have a communication problem with some people. I would hope that I'm able to communicate to some varying degree. But yeah, what I want to talk about today, well, this morning, and I have spoken about it before, and I don't know wherever you may live, wherever you may receive this YouTube video. I live in Chicago. Chicago is, according to some people, I guess you may look at the statistics and things that nature. Chicago is the third largest city, allegedly, in the United States. Chicago is also what if you're thinking along the lines of politics, it's considered a democratic city. A city that's mostly democratic him. Issue with your own skin color and it's on your black ass. And of course, when you go out, that's crazy. About trying to find someone who to make. You have let's turn them up again. My phone, it just came on. Y'all sitting here with it, but yeah, I live in a city that's a democratic city. New York's a Democrat city. I guess Los Angeles, most part Democratic city, liberal cities. During the pandemic, I believe, you had President Trump at the time. They were concerned about just people coming over, what have you. So they had something, I believe, known as Title 42, and managed to somehow keep the influx of undocumented immigrants. You're not supposed. It's not politically correct to say illegal immigrants, because no person is illegal, even though what they are. When you enter across another border without authorization or some type of interaction before crossing the border, that person's border, it is considerably illegal. And in some cases, I guess it depends on who's doing the actual crossing. An invasion. Let's say, for example, if some American soldiers try to tip over into Iran without any notice that they're coming. And it's not only that, not just a handful of soldiers.
About race. Read. It's about somebody that I have some chemistry with. And now y'all hear Yeah, y'all hearing
That's
it. Y'all
bugged.
hearing it. But I mean, I
bugged out.
used to be just say you.
Hold on,
You
y'all.
used to
This
be
shit crazy.
choose whoever you choose today.
It's
You
a
know,
whole
for
nother.
whatever reason.
Okay, I hope I got it. This shit crazy because not only did the video I just made come on this phone automatically, but it's in the background. I got YouTube up in the front, but in the background it just started playing, on Facebook. Usually when you close Facebook, that shit is closed up. Ain't no videos or done playing off of it until you go back to that app. But it's just playing all of a sudden. But fuck it, that's not important. In Democrat city, liberal city, I live in Chicago. The pandemic, Trump put in the Title 42 or whatever to kind of keep down the influx of immigrants due to the fact there was a pandemic, blah, blah, blah. Title 42 was raised, I guess, maybe a few months ago. So during the time there was an election, you had the Democratic Party in their efforts to, paint Trump as a virulent racist, blah blah blah. They said that he's mistreating the immigrants, the migrants, kids in cages and the babies crying and stuff like that. Even though these same issues or alleged allegations did actually happen underneath his predecessors. You know, time in office. And of course, we all know his predecessor is Barack Obama, Barry, good old Barry, my bro Obama, my brother. I call him Bro Obama because I consider him my bro. He's the bro, per se. But yeah, these things happened back then. But don't let me get you off of what I'm supposed to be on because I don't want to hold y'all too long. I want to, like I said, I got to make sure I captivate your attention and hold it and get to the fucking point. Okay, so these past few months, this summer, at the beginning of the summer, the first buses was coming. Well, I guess not necessarily the first few buses was coming up because Greg Abbott down in Texas said, they coming over here, they can't stay here. So y'all come Chicago. When Lori Lightfoot was still in office, Lori Lightfoot had made the statement or made the observation or the directive. Not even she couldn't say made directive because apparently it was according to some sources it was the Chicago the mayor the Harold Washington had proclaimed Chicago to be a sanctuary city, but during that time period, this type of situation and circumstances wasn't going on. It wasn't this type of problem with the board at that particular point. Back when the great Harold Washington was in mayor, but during the pandemic, Lori Lightfoot said, "Yeah, Chicago's a sanctuary city, and we don't turn nobody away." Blah 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 blah. Okay, now back at that point, I guess it really wasn't no bigger issue because, for one thing, we already have people in here, people in Chicago that are, I guess you could say, not so much undocumented, but they don't necessarily have work permits or what have you. They're here, but not per se legally here. You might have the Dreamers, Dream Act folks, and whomever. They're here in America, and now you have where the good Governor Greg Abbott, after Title 4, I think he started doing this before Title 42 ended because these people are coming across the border, and it may be predominantly people that are from Mexico or what have you, but there are other groups of people who may be coming over here as well, from other lands, whether it be somebody that may come over from an Asian country. Because I've seen videos of the people at the border and they were Asian people in that ranking. But let me get to what I'm trying to get to. Okay, so during the beginning of the summer, the buses was just coming up here. And they were like, okay, we need some play. These people are sleeping in the police station. They're still sleeping. Some of them are still sleeping in the police station, mind you. There are people sleeping. They have to sleep in the airport. So what they need to do is find shelters for these people. Shelters for these people. Now, mind you, also that this is a big city, and in most big cities, and I know in L.A. and of course in New York, there's a homeless problem. So what is occurring at this point? There's an expedition. You know, there's a hurry. There's a haste. Our black mayor, much like I guess the black mayor in New York, he has made it a priority to ensure that these people that have crossed the border in the name of sanctuary, I guess not necessarily knowing what they coming with nothing, but I guess they felt that once they got across the border, I guess they had some reason to believe. I don't know whether it was during along the course of of that campaign of President Biden and Kamala, where they made it appealing, made it seem appealing for them to make the journey to come across the border. That America is opening and welcome arms. It's the land of the free, home of the brave. Albeit, you know, you have a certain groups of people. When I'm going to speak specifically on my kind, or my group of people that contains my kind, the black African American, the black Negro folks. We have these people over here, and this is Chicago once upon a time. You know, and I mean, considering that it was founded reportedly, or you know, historically, in the books is written that it was founded by a black man in Chicago. You have all these black people that are going through struggles in this city, but somehow millions, tens of millions of dollars have been allocated just for the sake of maintaining, I guess, the comfort or well, let's say the presence of these migrants. And it's like, okay, you know, Greg Abbott, he was the governor of Texas. He was able to just ship people by the bus loads out of his state because he not going. And Texas is a Republican state. He not going. So they come here. And I guess, you know, you have certain people that say that, you know, they'll point it out and be like, well, you know, the kind you got to be kind with these people, you know, they're people too. There's no such thing as an illegal person, even though what they're doing to come over here by crossing the border is illegal. Even though we don't necessarily know what kind of backgrounds these people may have before they come over here. They leaving straight from Texas after crossing the border, getting put on buses and shipped up here into the city of Chicago. Now, with cities are congested. You have apartments and you have, you know, suburbs, houses, whatever. These houses are close together. You already have a concentration of people up here. So what you're doing is, at this point, because now they say that it's been like, well, I think they said like last month or the last few weeks, 45 buses have been coming up here. But they say now at this point, it might get to the point now, it may be like 25 buses a day or some shit. You got 25 buses a day. Now, another story where I heard, like in another border state or something like that, they said there was like 250 or a certain amount of migrants that came across the border, and they said, well, this is the population of Wyoming. So we don't know how many buses of migrants are going to be shipped to Cook County, Illinois, Chicago, and people in New York. They don't know how many gonna come over there. You know, the good mayor Eric Adams, he had something to say. You know, this is untenable. No, Eric Adams didn't say that it's untenable. He did say there was an issue that something must be done. Evidently, he sees that because New York is much more congested in my mind, from my perception, than maybe Chicago. But he sees a problem with it. Brandon Johnson, he say, you know, the black people come to him and say, man, you know what our situation is. Some of the good sweet talk he was saying while he was running for president and coerced us to vote for you is the situations that we going through. But yet and still, now that you in, your priority is elsewhere. So he's standing there, and it's like you could look in the man's eyes, and tell I guess all of them for the most part are puppet, but just really it's like, well, damn, I'm not. You could look in his face and say, damn, I'm really not even supposed to be in this office. I just so happen to have the right people behind me to put me here. So the people that put me here want me to do what they want me to do, and I guess what they want him to do is, you better be kind in the migrants. But on the flip side, you have the governor of our state, Governor Pritzker. A billionaire, heavyset white male, whatever. He says, uh, the word he used, he says this current situation is untenable. And from the perspective of the people, yeah, you're right. Because hell, they're talking about we're gonna build tent cities, and in Chicago. You're gonna put them all. We're gonna find a place to build some tents, and we're gonna house these migrants in there. And I guess somehow, I don't know what kind of plumbing situation they may have, but even in that proposal, the good governor, even the governor who's been somewhat silent about the situation up to this point. He says that that's not, um, that wouldn't be, um, and I could guess what he means. That wouldn't be practical when he said that ain't gonna look. Really, it ain't gonna look good. You got a major city, but you want to build some tents and put some people in some tents just for the sake of the winter time. So what they did is now they got their eyes on a high-rise building downtown, is in a building that's supposed to be taken over by some company, whatever. But they say, well, in the meantime, let these people stay in there because it's got bathrooms and space. Now imagine if just maybe like 3 or 4 homeless people, we'll say homeless black people, just so happen to be a cold night or some night or situation that's rough outside. They find a way to break into that same building, and they ain't doing no harm to them. They ain't breaking the building, nothing like that. They just sleeping to stay out the cold. And found out them people gonna get ran out. And these are citizens that live here, and in some way, maybe not income tax, they paying sales tax or some form of tax. And to find out that there are people that are coming from other countries that not only are utilizing the wealth of the taxpayer base in this particular city or state, whatever, they're getting priority. They're getting expedited services per se. And look at me, you see me, this black man, he talking about immigration, that he should be ashamed of himself, as bad as his people was treated through the course of history. Yeah, and that was feeds into me talking about this type of shit, because hell, it ain't like we ain't been treated too much better. Just because we could sit at the same lunch counters and, work at the same job and blah, blah, blah. There's still an imbalance of power. There's still an imbalance of representation, and that just goes to show that these black people, they had their complaints, and they were moving them into, I guess, a place where the community utilized the services, whether it be for daycare for kids or parks and stuff like that. They said we don't want this to go on, but they still had to go with it. So it wasn't like their voices were being placed above those, whatever voice. I guess I don't know whether they're using their voice or not, but these migrants who are raising their voice in the name of sanctuary. So now you have situation. I guess I'd like to say there's a saying that says when people see others that are being mistreated and they don't say nothing. I didn't say nothing when it happened to them. Now it's about to start happening to me. Now I want to say something. Now they're moving these places to other parts of the city. It was south. So they're proposing to build another spot in Pilsen, because they're talking about, well, Pilsen's a part of Chicagoland, because they're building a shelter in Pilsen, whatever. So they had a town hall meeting, and most they said most of the meeting was spent talking about what the plan is, and whereas the people wanted to get up there and talk. Um, Now, this one particular lady, she said she was talking about how uh, there's jobs for everybody and blah blah blah. And I mean, she wasn't white and she wasn't black. She was of another race. And I say that people sometimes your heart, your compassion may prevent you from seeing the bigger picture. But then you also had another Hispanic male. He couldn't even speak English. Matter of fact, he's saying, well, y'all talking about work permits. We've been here for a certain amount of time, and we ain't been able to get no work permit. Where's our ability to get a work permit, y'all? But y'all expediting these people. So, we get to this point. You have all these people coming in, and we're wondering as people, as citizens in this city, taxpayers in the city, we're wondering, what's the end game to it? Now you went from this amount, and I guess that amount in itself was a challenge to find places. You got people sleeping in the motherfucking police station. You have some of the places where the shelters already exist, and they're talking about prostitution. They're talking about public drinking. They're talking about thefts and robbery. They just talking about, just, and of course, if it's small kids in that area where these people are not necessarily trying to put the jacket on them, and they just instantaneously sexual assault or child molested, whatever. But still, you don't want to. You're not going to feel comfortable having whether it be your small children, your teenage children, walking through that same community they didn't walk through most of their lives. But now, since it's here, and there's all types of people doing things, and they're from questionable ends and have questionable background stories, this is what we're supposed to just take. It is getting crazy. All these, I mean, and then you look at it like this, all right, because I called Biden, kind Master Biden, because during the election time, they was, everybody was saying, Biden gonna save us. You're not black unless you vote for me. And I called Trump mean master Trump. So you have Trump. He's saying now as he's running his campaigns, and people make politicians make all kind of promises during their campaigns, like we're going to forgive student loans, we're going to do something about the police and stuff like that. We make all kind of promises during their campaign. Now Trump is saying like there's going to be the biggest what do you call that shit? When you the deportation is going to be the biggest deportation in American history, because he said when he get in, Biden is ruining the country, which arguably I can say these, in my opinion, I think he is, between inflation and shit like that, and then things like this, where we don't necessarily have a say. These people. Matter of fact, this story with the Pilsen story, I'm going to read a little bit of it, because it's like we don't necessarily know it, because they have. I live out west. Now Pilsen is like south of downtown. This other place called Galewood. Galewood is like 6 miles away from me. So it's like, okay, now they over here, and they moving out. Now they talking about 25 buses of immigrants a day coming to Chicago. These and idle minds, devil's work. And they give them curfew 11 o'clock. Where these people, some people saying, well, 11 o'clock too late for them to just be outside. In my mind, yeah, it is kind of late for y'all to be outside when y'all ain't got no motherfucking job, or y'all really ain't got no motherfucking money to do nothing with. So go somewhere where we know where the fuck you are. We have these people that are coming in this rapid influx, and you don't necessarily know where they're going to decide to put the next shelter at. It might be across the street from where you live. Now you have to worry about what might be going on, not aside from the other relative rank crime and situation and shit going on in a major city like a Chicago or New York or Los Angeles. You also have to worry about the foreign element. You know, these people are seeking sanctuary, but sanctuary, are they seeking sanctuary from those villains that are from where they are? Or are they seeking sanctuary for the fact that they are a villain and they need to get away from where they work? We don't know this, and it's not like they're necessarily doing strong background checks to ensure that to find out for themselves. So it's like, okay, you have a city here, and you have people that already had problems. You already had issues with crime and stuff like that. So now you have more people of questionable backgrounds. You know, they're just seeking sanctuary and they need help. And you know, this is the land. This is the melting pot. The home of immigration. It's very frustrating. They are invading. You know, you can't necessarily call it nothing else, and that's the point I was trying to get around to. Trump is talking about there's going to be a huge deportation once he gets in. But you talking about 25 buses a day. You talking about all the ones. Some people in one area down south of the country talking about they didn't had 250,000. A large amount of people come in. The size of the population of Wyoming come in. Who the fuck is going to deport these people? Who's going to come get these people and say you got to go? What means and measures are you going to be able to corral these people and move them from outside the country? I don't know, but it's a concern. So you folks may want to say, well, you know, this, and this. You're xenophobic. Yeah, you should be more. This is a country, is a land of opportunity. The history of my population of people, you know, it could very strongly arguably be made that it was my ancestors who paved the way for the opportunities in this country. And for you to play the game, for someone to play the game with me, that we should be ashamed of ourselves for denying someone who's seeking a better life in America that chance to find that better life in America. Hell, it's a large amount of us who have yet to have found that better life for themselves along the course of generations. Not necessarily just individually as a person in their own particular lifestyle. It's just their situations and circumstances, where they was born or where they came up at. Oh, you can pull yourself up from the bootstraps and this, that, and third. Well, if you can pull yourself up from the bootstraps, why can't these folks that we had to gather up all our taxpayer dollars and I had to infringe on our places of living and things like that, and maybe even jeopardize our employment? Because hell, the lady at the little town hall meeting I saw talking about they got jobs. It's jobs for everybody. It ain't never been no jobs for everybody in this country. The USA is our land, as Mexicans, white settlers, and brothers. So, yeah, I can't argue that, because at the end of the day, let me go back. Because yeah, you correct. The land of America is the land of those who are citizens. Now the argument be made that there were Mexicans all up along here, but we also make the statement that there were people that might be considered black that were here. But at the bottom line of it all, you can't necessarily say that there were Europeans in American to modern history. Now, when the good old European came over here, they did their way, whether it be with the Mongoloid American Indians, well, they call them American Indians, even though Indians are a whole different place. We have those people that Native Americans that had the Mongoloid features, the Asian type of features. But you also have to consider that America is a very large country, a large landmass per se. And even if in the America of today, there are all types of racial and ethnic groups in this country. And then we also have the evidence that those people that were of African descent, they were able to travel from, long distance over the seas. And that could be testified to the point that even Christopher Columbus, or whatever, when he wanted to come out, when he wanted to sail the ocean blue, he had to go seek the help of Moors, which, if you know anything about history and identification of Moors are black people. So for the Moors to be able to give him the guidance and the assistance to travel over to the new land, that would have to mean that they had been to the new land before. But I'm getting too far. What I'm saying is that America, they have laws. We have border laws, and there's certain things that you have to do in order to become a citizen, in order to freely move about in America. And there's a naturalization process. The great migration from Europe on Ellis Island during the mid of the 20th century of the different groups of Europeans. There's a way that you're supposed to be able to come into this country. Now, the way that this is happening, this, in my mind, from my perspective, has never. I don't remember in no part in history when it happened, where it's happening like this. At least not in modern history. Come legally with papers, indeed. Because even at my job, and then it's my guy. I'm training this guy, and he's a Hispanic guy, Spanish guy. And he started talking about it. I'm listening to him, listening for him to say, well, we got to do something to help these people, blah blah blah. He said he on the same shit I'm on, but then again, that brother, that guy, he's from Puerto Rico. My guy, he's from Puerto Rico, and I'm saying, well, shit, yeah, you really, first of all, you're already a citizen, and you have to deal with he lived further into the city than I did. He lived closer to the downtown area than I did. I live in a somewhat suburban type of situation, so it is, even though I live, people is concentrated, there's still a little bit more harm. Nevertheless, man, I don't know. Well, if by any course of history, when I consider the actions of black people or the inactions of black people, and also the actions of the government or the inactions of the government toward black people, I heard a statement, a quote I want to use, and I think the lady, the person who said it's Michi X or whatever. She said, black people are the last to prepare and the first to be affected. So here we sit in a situation where they let these people know, because now it's going to other groups. You got your white folks, they dealing with it too. Of course, they gonna handle them white folks a little bit more gently when they put them shelters over there. But now you have a situation where where the black folks was hitting by it all the time. We just had to. I'm saying them people outside and on the south side, they just had to roll with it. They just had to go at the beginning of summer. They just had to deal with the fact that their kids wouldn't have certain summer activities and stuff like that, because we had to be a sanctuary city, had to be compassionate to those who, for the most part, if it came down to it, if we happened to go to their country, or even in the fact of them being here, and just knowing that the history of the black person in America, they don't necessarily have to feel as if they have to necessarily show the type of level of respect that they would have to go and show Mr. Charlie, Mr. Caucasian man, or even any other group, in America. Even though they know, and history has shown, that they'll get the most compassion and the most constructive help from a black person. Because once again, a lot of times, we assume the role of helper to everybody else except for our own motherfucking selves. So, yeah, MXXII, Russia, China, and yeah, and they laugh about it. And just for the most part, we're not going to leave it on the southern border. You also had the fact that you had the good Ukrainian folks being dropped off here too. After they was we entered into a proxy war with Russia. But let me be careful. I don't want to, I'm already seeing this. It looks like I'm getting a little bit of traction. My last few videos seem like they got a little bit of traction. But of course, I was talking about my nigga Charles White too, though. So, that's a given. They should roll some. But I feel this is a concern. I said it in one of my other videos. As a citizen of Chicago, blah blah blah, da da da. But we hear this news now. The amount of buses is going to increase. The prospective place for the shelters is widening. The reports of the areas around the shelters say, you got the public drinking, the aggressive begging, the prostitution, the drug use, and of course, hell, if you can't work or if you ain't gonna work, then you're gonna end up stealing if you can't beg for it. So if you want to give folks a curfew of 11 p.m. and they don't have any, and they really don't necessarily have any ties to this country in the wintertime, and it get dark at 7. So you walking around, you might be going to get you something to eat from the Portillo's or some shit like. You might just be walking to the corner store to get you something to eat. Then all of a sudden you stuck up. Not even with a gun, maybe with motherfucking kitchen knife, because I imagine that they were able to smuggle guns over the border. But then you also have the issue that in this city that there's allegedly that some of the migrants are hooking up with some of the gangs in the city. So now the gang members have an instantaneous crash out dummy, because all they got to do is give the motherfucker a sandwich and something to drink, and he probably get their undying loyalty to him. But don't let me be mean. I'm not trying to be mean at all. So, Mr. Charles is gonna be great. Mr. Charles got the people behind him. Mr. Charles got a praying mama. So, and I, as a nigga with a praying mama who done all manners of foolishness and still managed to stay outside the prison. I went to jail. Maybe men stay outside the prison, and I've seen the effectiveness and I understood fully when Charles speaks about, I'm not concerned about y'all book or whatever God you got. I go with my mama's God, because we see that mama's prayers, granny prayers, them was effective prayers. When things seem hopeless, or when you probably was in a situation you should be more fucked up or got fucked up. Couldn't no other force beside it. Somebody love you somewhere. Somebody praying for you somewhere. Yeah. I don't know if that was I don't know if it was it could have been in your comments, but there also the folks talking about it was these talking about Dion, blah blah blah. But he was already talking about his channel was in jeopardy. And then in my mind, it wasn't so. If they want to say it's because of Dion, it wasn't because YouTube arbitrarily decided to, okay, he said this about Dion, so we're going to cancel his channel. It was people reporting him, and more than likely because the largest whiners we used to be supposed so-called warriors, so strong, and our ancestors were such hard workers, and didn't do too much of talking. At least the men didn't do much talking. You just you got to show us what it is. Nowadays, the biggest whiners and criers about sometimes the most pedantic bullshit. He talking about our football. Dion is inspiration. Dion is be the biggest whiners. So it ain't beyond me that niggas play that some black people might have paid white Karen to YouTube and cried until YouTube relented. But it's not the first channel that he lost. It won't be, more than likely, won't be the last channel he lost. Look, if you get to a point where they be like, well, damn, they can actually ban Charles from YouTube, because he still got interest in channels on there. He got the Classy Lady Today channel. He got the not gang related channel. Dewberry got his channel. If he just happens to have to come on and say something, then Dewberry will move out the way and let Mr. Charles talk. He can build a channel pretty much relatively quickly. So unless it got to a point where YouTube say if they saw an image or stars white in the video, they just black the video out. They can't effectively ban a nigga from the platform. And that same goes for Instagram or any other channel. Now, what he's doing on Twitter now, he on Twitter now. So, at least for now, he got on Twitter and went ape shit crazy talking that shit. And that's because Elon Musk gave him the invitation to come on Twitter. And, you know, under the name, in the name of free speech. Charles said, I'm going to give it 30 days and see whether I can come on here every 30 days. Every day of this 30 and say the most mean and evil thing I can conspire in my imagination. Now, I don't mean no harm. I don't mean none of this shit. I'm just trying to test the level, the limits of so-called free speech. I thought he was gonna come on again today. He came on earlier today, and he supposed to came on and start talking about the Black Hebrew Israelites and do a space whatever. But he never came back on. But then again, also he's in Georgia filming a movie. So he might got caught up with doing a movie. But like you say, and like I believe as well, Mr. Charles is gonna be alright. Man, fuck them guys, man. They and it happens oftentimes with people. In my lifetime, you know, usually I'm relatively tall. I'm 6'1", yeah, and I weigh 250, 225, you know, just varying levels of 200. Most times, people see a big athletic looking nigga, they just think he dumb and stupid or whatever. So it's like, okay. And that's in the Charleston. Like when they saw the character that Charleston created online, and they thought that they could deal with Charleston in the way that they consume the character, not knowing that who Charleston is outside this internet character. So when their game fell apart, they were lost, you know, because Aiden, you know, once Aiden's Kick is his overlords. I don't know. They say he's an investor in Kick too, but Kick is his boss. So once Kicks realized what type of draw Charleston was, they realized they need to get Charleston back, and Charleston up here fucking with you, nephew. That'll be good for the platform. So we need to get Charleston back, but Charleston say fuck it, I'm not fucking with y'all like that. And then you got Prime, you know, they got it just like most of these musicians in the industry. Prime, Aiden got his hand up Prime's ass, you know, to make him do whatever. Because even in the situation where Prime came up to Charleston in the mall, I don't believe Prime got off no plane. I believe Prime was already in the motherfucking city, and they had already wrote down whatever whatever skit they was gonna do before these. But yeah, I ain't gonna waste no time talking about them marks. Fuck Aiden Ross. I don't necessarily do. I need to take that kick shit off my phone because I get alerts every time we go live. Definitely fuck Prime. You know. I don't know Prime, and I live in, like I said, I live in Chicago. I highly doubt that I'm gonna cross paths with Prime in Chicago. At least not in the areas that I go to. Fuck him. You dancing around in the floor in front of a man, gonna get down on the floor on your back in a position that a woman would get in, dance in front of the man on the floor like a woman to a gangster rap song from a alleged serial killer of other black people. So yeah, nephew, what's that, nephew? Unc, come on, Unc. Don't you wanna hang out with don't you wanna stick your hand, put a blindfold on and stick your hand in the box and touch the snake? Peace of love, fam. I'm gonna check for you, MXXII. Thank you for fucking with me, nigga nation or nothing. Peace and love to the next time.